Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next DEY dialogue, Discussions in Defense of Childhood. My name is Denisha Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Defending the Early Years. And today I'm so excited to have my dear friend and amazing educator, Carla Shalaby, on for our discussion today. Hi, Carla.
So happy to be with you, Denisha.
Thank you. Thank you. So we want to jump right in and start. The day after the election, Carla wrote and shared an amazing love letter to young children. And that's what we want to talk about. And so we're going to go ahead and play that for you, and then we'll get right into the discussion.
Hi. I wrote you all a love letter that I want to read to you today. It's called A Love Letter to Children on the Day After from Miss Carla. Today, like so many other days, I woke up thinking about you, children, my favorite people in this whole wide world. Do you know why I love you? Oh my goodness, so many reasons. But there's a most important reason I love you. It's a secret, but I'll tell you. Shh. Don't tell the grown-ups. It has to do with superheroes. I know that's weird, but hear me out. You know how superheroes have all kinds of powers? Like they can do all sorts of magical and important things, but they just seem regular and plain by day when they're not in their superhero outfits, right? They're just regular people. But those regular people actually have these mighty and amazing magical superpowers. Guess what? Children are like that. You all look cute and small and maybe like you're just regular, but you're not. You're extraordinary. And you have the most superpowers, more superpowers than any superheroes have. Yesterday, grown-ups voted for a president. The president has a lot of power. The president can make decisions about rules and laws that make people safe or less safe. And sometimes, even a lot of times, grown-ups who are in charge of things use their power to make important decisions that really make things worse for a whole lot of people. Presidents kind of always walk around in their superhero outfits, like everybody knows that they have power, right? But you children, you have the secret superpowers. You walk around looking all kind of regular in plain clothing, and people don't know how powerful you are. Sometimes you don't even know how powerful you are. But let me tell you some of the ways that your superpowers can show up to save the day. Today or tomorrow, or maybe the next day, you will be outside and you'll see a spider or a little ant or a roly-poly. And even though people think you're small, to that little spider or that tiny little ant or the roly-poly, you are so huge and you are so scary. Your superpower is either love or cruelty. You leave the spider alone. You walk around the ant so you don't crush it. And you say a sweet little hello to the roly-poly without touching him or putting him in your hand. And that little critter's life depends on you. Those little critters have food to eat. They have homes to build. They have families to help take care of. And when you use your special secret love superpower, you let them keep on eating, keep on building, keep on taking care of each other. You don't use your superpower to hurt them. Or say you're on the playground and your friend falls off the monkey bars and you stop your playing and you rush over and you say, "Are you okay? It's okay to cry." And you hold his hand on the way to the nurse. Wow, you used your superpower to help heal another person's hurt. You're so powerful. You are secretly powerful. Presidents have power, but so do we. Grown-ups have power, but so do children. When you pick up a piece of trash and throw it away where it belongs, you're powerful. When you see another child is hungry and you offer her one of your snacks, you're powerful. When you keep going to solve a very hard problem, even though you really want to quit or cry, You are powerful. When you plant a seed and it grows into food, you are powerful. When you look at your hands and you remember that hands are a tool you have, and hands can hold, they can hug, but they can also hit or punch or shove. You're powerful because you get to decide how you're going to use your hands, how you're going to use your superpowers for good or for evil. When you hear people say things about you, when you hear them say things about you on the playground, on the streets, even on TV, even if they are powerful, important people like the president, things that are mean, things that are lies, things that are meant to hurt you and the people that you love, you have to remember that they don't really see you. They don't know you. They're trying to trick you because they're a little bit scared of your very hidden, very powerful superpowers. Presidents, they have power, but here at school, at home, in your neighborhoods, with your own friends, in your own family, you have power. You make the world for all of us. So listen, sweet children, here's the secret. You have power now. You don't have to wait until you grow up to have power. You have superpower. You have the most superpower. You have hidden magical superpowers. Are you going to use it for good, for love, for justice? I know you will. Today and every day, with every creature and critter that you see, know, and have the chance to take care of. I believe in you. Take care of yourselves and each other because that's the greatest superpower of all. I love you.
So great to listen to that again. It just warms my heart. And so, yeah, we woke up to that beautiful message, and I think for so many people, it was just what they needed to hear because we struggle with what to say to children on these days. And of course, some argue that don't say anything, they don't know what's going on, but that just dismisses who children really are and how they are absorbing so much of what we are also dealing with in the present. And they're trying to make sense of it in ways that is hard because they don't have adult brains that allow them to rationalize things that shouldn't be rationalized, right? So they have to really to process it. So can you tell us a little bit about, what were you feeling and what you were thinking when you decided to write this letter?
I was thinking many of the things that you just said, right? This isn't the first time that we've woken up to him being president. And I remember last time thinking, what do we tell the kids? And feeling completely unprepared for that. And so same, right? This year I was sadly more prepared, right? I was ready
Mm-hmm.
to already have figured out what are we going to tell the kids, and not just what are we going to tell the kids, what are we going to tell the Black kids, what are we going to tell the Black girls, what are we going to tell the trans kids, what are we going to tell the undocumented kids who didn't get a vote and have to bear the consequences of the decisions that we make as adults. And so I felt like the best reminder would be to tell them that they are not at our adult whim, even though
Mm-hmm.
they are to such a large degree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted them to feel like they matter
Yeah.
and they can do things. I wanted us to feel like we matter and we can
Mm-hmm.
do things. I'm ambivalent about electoral politics anyway, as are many of us. That's not my theory. My theory of change is not electoral politics.
Yeah.
And yet they have a lot of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out, like, how do I translate my theory of change into a format for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 year olds? And it really is like, we're heavily influenced by Grace Lee Boggs here in Detroit, and these are the
Mm-hmm.
times to grow our souls. We do, she just talked about putting the neighbor back in the hood,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
really taking care of our own, that even just taking care of our own neighbors was world changing. And that has become my theory of change, right? It is around care. It is around radical care. It is around political care, and it is around organizing. So Um, what does that mean for young children? It means living every day like you are important and you have the power to impact the people around you because they do. You
Yeah.
know, their days do depend on each other, right? Whether
Hmm.
they have a good or a bad day depends on the people around them who are largely children. So I'm not lying to them at all about the power that they have. And I'm not lying to any of us about the power that we have in times like this as well.
Yeah, I think that piece is so important, right? The idea of power and empowering young children and to tap into their power, because as you know, young children are in this constant state where they realize how dependent they are on other people just to survive, which can feel powerless. And so they're always in this struggle for more power and control and autonomy and agency over their lives so that they feel confident, right? It's just a part of a child not feeling. You spend your whole life about what you can't do, right? You're too little, you're too small, you're too, right? And it goes on and on and on. And so it's a struggle, right? We see children engaging in power struggles because they want to be human, right? They want to feel like they are complete and competent now and not striving to this point when they get older, which is one of the things we do, I think, that robs children of their childhood, right? It's all about a race to grow up instead of just, no, just be, you're okay, right? Being 3 is great. Being 2 is wonderful. Being 5 is awesome, right? So I love the idea of the superpower because it is, right? And so as I mentioned, I'm here at a conference in Boston, and I got to hear Dr. Kelly Carter Jackson talk about refusal, right? She was writing about studying Black women's histories of refusing, or how we've, refused systems of oppression like white supremacy. And it's the everyday act, right? It's the everyday of tapping into your power as an individual, living in an oppressive system and refusing, right? Refusing to acquiesce to that oppression. And so when the kids tap into their power, I can do this. I am refusing that what you're telling me, that narrative, whatever, by this one little act, right? Then it is powerful and it is part of a larger system, right? But we all want this big solution that's just going to come and solve everything, but there isn't one solution to fix everything. It's going to be 1,000 many small solutions of people engaging in the most powerful acts of building community, taking care of one each other. And kids are so ripe for this because more than anything, they want fairness and justice. They really don't understand how we accept a lot of inequality and unfairness and unjust things in adult lives. I think that troubles them, as it should, right? As it should. Like, you can't really rationalize. I was like, the problem with young, people don't like with young children, they're not going to ever accept any justification for inequality, and just because it doesn't make sense, right? You debate the whole people being unhoused thing, and in their mind, there is no justification. Give them a house. That's it, right? Like, stop it, for full stop. Just give everyone a house, and the problem goes away. And so I think tapping into that idea that they uniquely want everything to be right and to be just is really good, right? We need to hold on to that instead of people trying to take that away and prepare them for the real world where things are unfair and unjust. And I think that's another thing about your message that's so important, is that we tell children a narrative, like we're all equal, we treat everyone the same, but we don't give them the tools for when that narrative is not being enacted. And I think you did a really good job of showing them that you have a choice, right? Here are some tools and how you can respond to the things you're going to see that are going to be not okay, right? And if we don't give the kids the tools in those language, then we're setting them up, right? By telling them, oh, everything, treat everyone like you want to be treated. But how do you respond when someone says or does something that's harmful, even when it's an adult? How can you respond, right? What can you say? And I feel like this is a great tool for them to really think about the choices they'll make and how they'll respond and the things they'll do. And that's important. That's definitely important right now. So, how I know it blew up a lot. Any good feedback or thoughts about the responses you got from the video? And
I was surprised. I mean, I really was. I recorded it for our kids,
mm-hmm,
because I knew that I couldn't be in every classroom, and my primary job at our school is to support new teachers, and I couldn't simultaneously be in all of our new teachers' classrooms trying to
mm-hmm,
support them, right? And I remember, I was a student teacher. I was in my second week of student teaching in New Jersey when the Twin Towers fell.
mm,
And so I remember that struggle of like being new to the
mm-hmm,
profession and having to figure out, what do we tell children? And so I
mm-hmm,
had only designed this as a support for them. I hadn't thought about it um, beyond that. I posted it because I have educators as followers, right?
Hmm.
Posted it in support of them. Did not expect it. I didn't expect adults to need to hear
Yeah.
that. So that part surprised me. And I didn't expect I didn't expect any of the response that it has gotten, but I think we're all just so tired and we just need to remember that small things are big. And so
Hmm.
maybe that's why I honestly don't know why it landed. Anytime something lands that well, I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't say anything controversial. You know what I mean? Like maybe I should have kicked it up a notch and not missed my opportunity to reach all these people, So that's
Yeah.
my first thought is I was like, yeah, it was pretty innocuous, right? It's really, I mean, you could perceive it just as my message being like, let's be kind to each other. That's actually not the work I was doing in that video, but I could see how it could land that way and then be very attractive, right? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
folks is like, let's just be nicer to each other.
Yeah.
You could think that's the work that I was doing in that video. It's not
No,
see
no.
how it could land on people just at that. So I never excited when something lands well with that number of people. I always go back thinking, oh, well, how did people misinterpret it? Because nothing that I'm usually really saying is that popular,
Yeah.
So that was really mainly my response. But I really think, we've been in this mode of refusal and
Yeah.
land for so long, and it is making us tired.
Yes.
I would like instead, not instead, I would like in addition for our refusal to look like the embrace of something else. Like, what do we want? Right?
Yeah.
Because the world it's not a thing that just exists,
Hmm.
a thing we make
Yeah.
every day. And so, who's president doesn't determine the world that we have. It's how every one of us is living each day determines the world for us and for the people immediately around us, regardless, right? I'm not minimizing policy or the kinds of really
Hmm.
horrendous, impactful policy decisions that people make, but it always takes people to enact those policies.
Hmm.
Like there are still, soldiers on the ground who do the work of deportation, right?
Hmm.
who who just who do the work of gas chambers, right? Those had to
Hmm.
be people on
Yeah.
the ground. So regardless of, and we know that lots of laws and policies have fallen through.
Hmm.
People refuse to implement them for good or for evil. So
Hmm.
yeah, we do have choice, and
Yeah.
yeah, we do have power, even in the most sweeping of policy decisions. It's everyday people who make those things real or not. We know this best as teachers because we get nothing but mandates and we make our own decisions about what we do and don't do in our
Hmm.
classroom. So what I'm looking for is, for young people and for all of us to make the world that we want instead of wishing or waiting that somebody else would.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so important. No, I can see some people might have thought, oh, be kind, but no, I didn't get that at all. I thought it was really important in the face of people who are constantly having their humanity stripped and taken away to how to respond to that. And that is to remember your inherent power in yourself, right? And using that as a force, right? And I think kids would get that and people who get that message, right? That it's not a you go high, we go, you go low, we go high. No,
It wasn't that, but I'm sure that's what some people,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
It couldn't
exactly.
have
That's
been
what
so
they want to
popular
hear.
unless that's
Yeah,
how some people were
yeah,
were reading
yeah.
it.
People want to hear that. They want to hear that it's okay. We can just no. That's not at all what it is, right?
That's
But
not.
it's a definitely a good move for young people. And I think, yeah, for adults, we do need to hear it too, because it's funny how a lot of things that we say to young children, adults need to hear as well too, right? We use the 13 guiding principles of Black Lives Matter, and we use them in child-friendly language. And the high school kids like reading the child-friendly language. Like they love it. It's easy and simple, right? And so some of those things that, yeah, I can imagine high schoolers watching that video and being like, dope, right? Like, yeah, that's what we need. Like just to bring it back down to the individual. And yeah, like the policies are out there, the people are out there, they're doing, horrible things. And what are you going to do? How are you going to, make a choice in that moment that matters, that impacts so many people? And I think that's the message that's really important. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up as we think about, moving forward? I guess you'll be on break soon, and then the kids will come back, and it'll
Goodness,
be a new year, and it'll be, yeah,
these are the dark months for educators. You know that
yep,
we
yep.
are all just squeaking out until these breaks are upcoming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the last thing that I would would offer as we're thinking about moving forward is, at our school, we're really trying to make a push to define freedom for young
Mm,
children as a responsibility and
yeah,
not just a right. That
yeah.
freedom is not something anybody can have if we're not minding our responsibility to ensure it. So in other words, you cannot be free unless I am struggling every day to make sure that I'm behaving in ways that ensure your freedom. And so we define freedom as we keep us safe. We protect everyone's bodies and feelings, and we
Mm-hmm.
protect the planet. That's
Yeah.
what's on our signs. That's what's in our language, that we're really trying to take responsibility for creating freedom for each other by protecting each other, keeping each other safe. And I hope that can be a guiding principle for educators as they're moving forward. That makes it feel less like freedom is something that people give us or don't at a whim, but
Mm-hmm.
something that we make for each other by protecting and caring for each other. I think that's very accessible to children. I think it's very accessible to teachers.
Yeah.
And I hope that we might use our classrooms as chances to practice that.
I love that. I talk about freedom all the time. And one of the things I've noticed is that the more freedom educators are protecting and giving to children, it's like bi-directional, right? Because you're not going to give them freedom and be oppressed yourself, right? You're going to get more freedom because you're going to take it, right? Because you're making it a goal and it's a shared thing. And so I see free teachers and I see free children and I see them creating these spaces where everyone is free. And that's so powerful and that's super important. It's not just some people, I have rule, I can't be free. I got to do this. No, no, no. You start giving them the freedom and you're going to take it for yourselves. You're going to create it because you have to. It needs it. You're going to need it. And so that's super important. So yeah, I hope we can all think about that too. I saw another post, a woman named, I think it's Alexis Pulling Gums, and she made this really good post too and talking about the first 100 days and what are we going to do in the first 100 days, right? We know that's a big policy thing, but what are we individually, collectively going to do in the first 100 days to really set the tone, right? And I think making that around freedom, right? How do we then safeguard our freedoms for ourselves and our children and make that our focus? That sounds like a good thing to lean into a new year and the work, right? The work keeps going.
Yeah, that's the work that I'm going to be trying to do is figuring out how we keep us safe.
Yeah. I love it. Well, please reach out. Let us know how we can support you. I hope to make it to Detroit soon and see all the wonderful things that you're doing out there. But thanks again. Like, yeah, as you know, the video was just super, super important. People loved it. And we hope to get more from you and hear how the pursuit of freedom and supporting our children goes. But as always, thank you so much, Carla, for joining us.
Denisha, so good to be with you.
All right, thanks all. Please go to DEY.org and check out our other dialogues, and we will see you again soon.